After writing 2 transformational books myself and supporting many other beings to do the same, I've become enthralled by the deep and mysterious magic that's activated when we choose to say yes to ourselves and commit to the book writing journey. Of course, we want to inspire change and new perspectives in our readers, but the transformation that happens as an author, both throughout the writing process and by actually releasing your book into the world, is surprisingly potent. I know I've been blindsided in the most disruptive and delicious ways by some of the changes my books have brought into my life. Writing a book is like casting a spell. Although we can never be completely sure what's going to be unleashed during the process, we choose to do it anyway. This Unbound one is a heroic journey. Each book has the potential to be a magical portal, a doorway to a new world, both for you and your reader. Each book has a very specific medicine that it's here to share with us. And each book gives us the opportunity to alchemize the magnificent imperfection of our experience into gold. The truth is that anyone can write a book. We could all get a few thousand words down and put them together. But what fascinates me is what happens when we allow the book writing process to go deeper. When we say, fuck it, get naked and dive way down beneath the surface. Letting go of the shoulds and any need to be acceptable, sensible, or approved of. What fascinates me is what happens when we make ourselves fully available to being transformed by the very act of writing a book. This is Unbound Writing, and this is the process we'll be exploring together here in the Unbound Writers Club. I'm Nicola, author and founder of the Unbound Press, and I help magical beings to write the transformational book they're really here to write at this time. I'm your guide here in the Unbound Writers Club, and the aim of this podcast is to help you to feel supported, encouraged, activated as you embark on your book writing journey. Whether you're a first-time author or have many books out in the world, my hope is that you will find something here to inspire you. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Unbound Writers Club. I am answering a question today, and it's one that came up in the Unbound Book Incubator that just came to an end recently. We will be running it again later this year in September. But the question was, how do you come back to writing your book when you have drifted away from it? When life has got in the way, things have come up, maybe you've had a couple of weeks or a couple of months when, you haven't been writing and you feel disconnected from your book. And you don't want it to be just another one of these things, these projects that you begin, but you never complete. And, for many of us, multifaceted, unbound beings, we have so many ideas, continually there are these ideas being downloaded. So it can feel like we've started a lot of things and maybe some of those things haven't actually been brought out into the world. So we can judge ourselves as, I never finish anything. And maybe we've been told that in the past. So there can be this fear when we're in the process of writing our books and we kind of drift away from it for a while or we feel disconnected. It's like, oh no, it's happening again. So I want to give you 5 tips to help you come back to your writing when you've drifted away from it. Okay. And the first one is to make a decision that this time you get to do it differently. This time you get to complete this project. Okay. So I would actually encourage you to just get all of these fears and doubts about not being able to complete something, that you're not a completer finisher, that, I never managed to kind of get to the end of a project. Get it all out onto the page, write it down in your journal, like everything that's coming up about that. All the ways you are beating yourself up about drifting away from your writing. Just get it up, make space for it, let it out onto the page. And then it's literally like drawing a line under it. And you can write something like, and this time I am willing to do it differently. This time I am willing to complete this project that's really important to me. This time I get to come back to my writing and complete this book that is so very needed in the world. And, this is one of the really special things about a book. It is something that you get to complete. Like you get to this point where it's like, okay, this is done. And when you publish it, you get to hold a physical copy of it in your hands. So, if you haven't experienced that before, and I know there are people who listen to the Unbound Writers Club, some of you have already written books and they're out in the world. Some of you are in the process of writing your first book. And for some, it's just, just this calling that you're feeling. But that moment when you get to hold your book in your hands, it sends such a powerful message to you that, I do complete things, like his physical evidence of it. And you can make the decision that that's going to happen now. Like, even if it feels like you're completely disconnected from your book and from your writing in this moment, you can choose to actually come back to it and tell yourself, this time I get to do it differently. So that's kind of tip number one, making that decision. This time I get to complete it. And I mean, like for many of us, we've started this book writing journey over and over again. And I've got something to say about that at the end. But that first step is to go, no, you can make space for what's coming up. Absolutely. And then let yourself know, this time I get to complete this. Tip number 2 is to reconnect with your vision for your book. Like, tune into the vision you have for the book you're feeling called to write. Why did you feel that initial call? Allow yourself to get excited by the potential that this book is going to activate in you and your life and your business, and also in the life of your reader. You're not just writing a book for the sake of it. You're not just writing a book because it's like, something to do. You are a soul-led, magical being. And the fact that you felt a call to write this book means that it is no accident. You would have heard me say this before, most likely. But there's a reason that this book is wanting to come through you and to go out into the world. And you know what that reason is. So the second piece of advice I have for you is to really reconnect with that vision. Why are you feeling called to write this? Why is it important that this book is out there for you and also for your reader? Really allow yourself to feel that. Okay. Like, tune into the vision, because that's going to help you. Like, you feel that sense of excitement and anticipation. It's going to help you come back to your writing practice, to kind of feel that sense of reconnection with your book. And your book will feel it too. Like, the energy of your book will be like, here we go. Tip number 3 is to put some kind of accountability in place. Now, words like accountability can sometimes feel like a dirty word in the world of Unbound, because, like I said, we're these unbound magical beings, and the thought of being accountable can be like, ugh. But actually, this is one of the things that comes up most often when I'm talking to would-be authors. They're like, it's like, what do you feel will support you during your book writing journey? And pretty much the first answer is like some kind of accountability. And, there are other things, other kind of aspects of support, but this is really key when we have somebody that we've made a commitment to, whether that's one person or a group, that can help to carry us through and get us back on track with our writing. So this can be as simple as like having one other person who's like your book buddy. And maybe you have someone already, but it's like making that recommitment to them, or finding somebody, preferably who is also writing a book so they get it. And you can arrange to check in with each other and keep each other on track. It may be that you join some kind of writing circle or group, where you're all holding each other accountable. That's what's so powerful about the Unbound Writing community and the different spaces that we hold. Everybody has that sense of accountability to each other when they're showing up and saying, yes, I'm doing this. And also, like your book, being accountable to your book, letting your book know, yes, I'm doing this. I'm really committed to birthing you into the world. So just harnessing the power of accountability in whatever way you can as you recommit to your writing process. Tip number 4 is to make a commitment to get back on the writing horse, like to come back to your writing practice. And, I know often, when we've gone off track, when we've drifted away from our writing, often it's because life stuff's come up. We've been really busy and, we're in these deeply transformational times where there's these continual shifts happening, like things can feel very turbulent in different ways. So, the likelihood is we're all going to drift away from our writing at some point. So making that strong commitment to come back to your writing practice, like when you notice what's happened and it's like, okay, you've kind of made that decision. No, like this time I get to do it differently. You've reconnected with your vision. You've put some kind of accountability in place. And then it's like, okay, I'm getting back to this. And what I would encourage you to do, like a big part of the Unbound writing process, is to write in alignment with your cyclical nature. When you're getting back on track like this, I would encourage you, if at all possible, to write every day. Now, that could be just 5 minutes, showing up at the page for 5 minutes every day. And the question I always encourage Unbound writers to ask themselves, like when you're really wanting to create this dedicated practice, when you want to kind of commit or recommit to your book, asking the question, rather than asking, am I going to write today? Asking, when am I going to write today? When am I going to make time for my writing today? And like I said, that could just be 5 minutes, but you're just getting back into that habit of writing, showing up at the page, showing your book you're committed, showing yourself you're committed, inhabiting your being as the writer, as the author you are. So getting back on your writing horse and kind of like, even if it feels like, I'm not quite sure what direction I'm going on with my book, maybe that's where you've drifted away from it because it feels like there's a lack of clarity. But allowing yourself to be with that unknowing and recognizing that you get to write for clarity rather than waiting for clarity. So tip number 4 is coming back to the page, like getting back into a dedicated writing practice, even if it's just for a short amount of time every day. And tip number 5, which is perhaps the most important, is to be kind to yourself around this. Like, go gently. It's so easy to slip into kind of blaming ourselves, beating ourselves up, going into that kind of negative self-talk of like, oh, I always do this. I never complete anything. This is just another one of those things that I'm not going to finish. Why am I like this? Everybody else seems to be able to do it. No, everyone else has the same struggles with this. And the book you are writing, like I said, it's not just any book. You have committed to this book that is bringing through something new, something important, something vital, like for you and also for everyone who gets to connect with it. So it's very natural. You are going to have times in your creative cycle where, you're living your book. You've stepped back from your actual writing process practice and things are bubbling away under the surface. You just need some time out from it. So when we see it like that, we don't have this expectation that we need to be continually writing, like actively writing, because some of the time, and maybe a lot of the time during your book writing journey, you'll be living your book or allowing space for what wants to emerge. So you get to be really kind to yourself around this. And when you come back to your writing, part of your commitment can be to make the process as pleasurable as possible, which is another aspect of the Unbound writing approach. You allow pleasure to be your guide, and you also allow yourself to experience pleasure as you write. So really setting yourself up to feel good as you write, whether that's about the environment you're writing in, how you are in your body as you write. So maybe like I love writing in bed. That feels really gentle and kind to me. And even if I'm feeling like busy or tired or overwhelmed, if I just curl up in bed with my notebook and do a bit of writing, that feels really gentle and pleasurable. Like your writing, your book writing can almost be like part of your self-care practice, something you do for you. It's just deciding that it gets to be that. So go gently, be kind to yourself, and come back to your book, come back to your writing. Like I said, what you are creating is really, really important. You have got this. You have got this, magical one. So I hope that has been helpful. Let me know which of those tips, pieces of advice felt most resonant for you. You can find me on Instagram. I'm at Nicola. I always love to hear from you. And before I go, I want you to know about something new that is happening in the Unbound writing community. Recently, we have the doors open to the Unbound Writing Mastermind, which is our signature 12-month process, group process for magical beings who are wanting to write a transformational book. And I know for some that you're not quite ready for the Unbound Writing Mastermind, and I get it. It is a big commitment, and sometimes you just want to have some kind of community, some kind of support in place as you're writing your book, but you're not ready for that bigger commitment of the mastermind. And now we have a way that you can do that, because we are launching a new membership called the Unbound Writers Club. Yes, same name as this podcast. And it's a space you get to be in. We are going to have a monthly writing circle in the Unbound Writers Club, and also a monthly masterclass on some sort of element of the book writing process. So every month you'll be invited to those 2 sessions. If you can't make them live, then you'll be able to access the recording. And it is a way of accessing that support, that accountability, that community, which is really going to hold you in your book writing process. So to find out more about that, head to the link in the show notes, and that is nicolahumber.com, unbound-writers-club. Go take a look at the invitation. Doors are open now, so you can come and join us. And I'd love you to be part of it, because if there's one thing I know, it's having community around you, creating in community makes all the difference. Okay, my love, it's been really, really good to connect with you. And I will see you again soon for another episode of the Unbound Writers Club.